Tonight at youth group, Tim is going to be talking about hearing God's whisper, and asked me to share one of the biggest times when I listened to God's whisper. When I was in high school, things were great. My faith and morals were so strong, and everybody knew it. I wasn't afraid to let anybody know, and people respected me for that, and it was incredible. My senior year in high school was probably absolutely the best for me. I just remember walking down the halls, and I would see something funny, and like talk to myself in my head. Instead of talking to myself, though, I'd always talk to God. Like, God was always there with me, and there was no doubt in my mind about that. And so instead of like running up to a friend and saying, "Hey, guess what?" Like, I would just keep on walking and be like, "God, did you see that?" And then be like, "Well, of course you did. You see everything." And just start talking to him, and it was cool. When I started college, everything was still great. I was still really close to God, and I was sheltered, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But eventually, I started getting curious. My first semester in college was great. I stayed close to God. I was on the ministry team on the campus. And then close to the end of the first semester, I started praying about if I should join a sorority or not. And it came down to me thinking that God was saying, well, you can join one or you can't. I mean, either way, I can use you. But my problem with that was I had my strong Christian friends that were right there with me, warning me about it. And I just got so frustrated with them. Instead of talking through things with them, I just started turning them down and started hanging out with others that I knew didn't make as good of decisions, but they were great friends, and so I hung out with them instead. And so the second semester of my freshman year, I joined the which ended up being the party sorority of a party school. So big mistake there. Didn't find that out until later on. And I just let things influence me. I was curious about stuff. I had never seen anybody take a drink before. I didn't know how. I had heard how it can affect you, but I had never seen the effects, and just wanted to find out, wanted to try it, wanted the experience. And so I did, and I had fun. And then the summer after my freshman year, I was a mission intern and felt a little guilty about what I had done, and then going off and doing a ministry for the summer. But it was nice. It was a good break. I didn't have any of the party scene that I was around. And then when I went back to school my sophomore year, I got on the soccer team, which is a whole funny story on its own for another time. But that helped me to make good decisions, and I had a great experience with it, and stayed out of things, and just was making better decisions with that. But then again, second semester rolled around again for me, bad time for me, I assume, and I fell back into the party scene. But towards the end of my second semester, I started feeling God telling me that He wanted me back, that I wasn't living the life that He had planned for me, that He had so much more for me to do. And I could just feel the hurt, feel how it was hurting God. And so I had written down my thoughts and my prayer for that night, and you can click the link below. I had blogged it a little while ago. And that night just clicked. And that was when I finally turned my life back over to Christ. And when I said, okay, from here on out, you do have my life. I've screwed up, and I'm done. I don't need this anymore. I need you. So then I had 2 weeks left of school after figuring this out. And slowly things just started happening to where I knew what God wanted me to do. I was planning on sharing a storage unit with a few girls for the summer to keep all our stuff so we didn't have to move it all the way back home 7 hours away. And one by one, each girl dropped out for some reason or another, that they weren't going to be able to share a storage unit with me, and I definitely wasn't going to be able to afford a storage unit by myself for the whole summer. So I took that as a huge note from God saying, this is it, you're not coming back. You're going to take all your stuff home with you this summer. I have other plans for you. And so probably, I guess, the last week of school, I started telling everybody, I'm not coming back. And it was hard. I had made some really good friends. And I knew that God wanted me to separate from it. That I needed a while to step back and let God mend me. Oh, it was hard. Because I knew I had a lot to learn. But it was amazing at the same time. That summer, I got to be the youth director at my dad's church. And it was incredible. I think that's where I got started in youth ministry, really. And I was a camp counselor that summer and met my best friend Brianne through that. And we just clicked. And that was such a huge gift from God because I had somebody there to relate to and to hang out with, which I really needed after having to leave all my other friends alone back at college that I had for the last 2 years, and knowing that I had to keep separate from that so that I could let God continue to work through me. And then later on that summer is when Tim and I met and started hanging out. And that was a huge blessing because apparently now I'm having his kid, so that worked out really well. But none of that would have happened if I would have ignored God's whisper in my ear to tell me that He had something better for me. And so I sit here today knowing that He's not done. He still has amazing plans for me. And I am so thankful for that. And today being Mother's Day. And in 3 more months, our little one will be here. And it scares me. But I know that God has so much to teach me. And that it's going to be great. And so, life is good. Life is better than I could have ever imagined. I married a man who I love so much. And when I compare his love to God's love, it's amazing to know that my Creator loves me so much more than my husband does, because He loves me more than I could ever imagine. And to know that God loves me even more than that just makes me speechless. If you hear God's whisper, listen to it. God knows the best. He has the best plans for us. And it'll be hard at times, but it'll be good.